Hi everyone, this is Brian Hayes, and welcome to an introduction to the 12-string guitar. Today we're going to take a quick look at some of the features that make the 12-string guitar unique within the guitar family. We'll talk about tuning, string gauges, electronics, and features to look for if you're new to 12-string and are searching for your first 12-string guitar or perhaps an upgrade. So let's start by taking a look at my 12-string acoustic that I've got here. This is the Cort MR730 FX12. It's a beautiful instrument made in Korea and an example of the fine craftsmanship now coming out of some of the Asian countries. If we look at the body of the guitar, this is a wide-bodied guitar. It's a very full-bodied acoustic guitar which gives it a lovely big round, deep tone. It's fitted with a high-quality Fishman electronic pickup system and the piezo pickup under the bridge saddle here. The electronics are fantastic on this guitar. I'll just bring it closer to the camera for you. So you can see you've got a number of equalization controls, an inbuilt tuner, volume, and this is a swing out design, so the battery is behind that unit, but you can just unclick that, lift it out and change the battery without having to take the strings off the guitar, which is a really important feature to look for if you're buying an acoustic electric 12-string. The string sets for a 12-string are very expensive, multiple times, at least twice what you'd pay for a 6-string set, and that's obvious because you've got double the number of strings, but also the gauges are quite peculiar and quite unique to the 12-string. So you don't want to have to be throwing out a set of strings every time that you want to change the battery. This Cort comes with Grover precision tuning gears, and that's very important because with so many strings to keep in tune, you really want good quality tuning gears. The inbuilt tuner is also fantastic because with that many strings to keep in tune, it's great to be able to just basically depress the tuner button and then, as you can see down here, there, as I play the different strings, you can adjust the tuning on the fly, turn the tuner off, and away you go. A very important consideration when looking at a 12-string is the action on the guitar. Now, by action, I simply mean the distance between the string's normal position and to fret it to the fingerboard. Now, you'll notice on this guitar that the action is very, very close to the frets. I've had my guitar tech lower the action on this guitar as low as possible without getting any fret buzz. Now it now plays fantastic. In fact, I bought this guitar new and it played quite good new straight out of the box. But with twice the number of strings to press down to the fingerboard, the last thing you want to do, particularly if you want to play the guitar with any sort of form of fluency and freedom with your fingers, is to be wrestling against the action of the guitar. Be on the lookout for that. You want the lowest possible action on the guitar that you can get, where you can still hit the guitar at full volume without any fret buzz. Now, the final consideration is the strings to use on a 12-string. I really like this set of D'Addario strings, their EJ41 set. It's a good balance between tone and light gauge strings. So all of the gauges for the strings are clearly listed on the packaging. And just to give you some indication, this runs from a .008 for the high G string, the highest pitch string on a 12-string, and we'll talk about that tuning in just a moment. And it goes down only to a .045 for the low E string. You've got to remember on a 12-string guitar you've got double up strings. So a pretty medium to light gauge set of strings for an acoustic guitar would be a .011 to a .052. That's .052 of an inch for the low E string. So on a 12-string guitar, that becomes .045. And there's a reason for that because you've actually got two strings playing the note E rather than 1. So let's take a look at the tuning of the 12 string now. I'll hold the guitar up like this so that you can see the physical strings. So the first thing you'll notice on a 12 string is that, like a mandolin, there are 6 sets of 2 strings. So a 12 string really is a 6-string guitar, but each of the 6 strings have 2 strings instead of 1. And we'll find as we go across the fretboard that the unique aspect of the 12 string is that 4 of those 6 sets of strings are tuned in octaves. And if we start out here on the first string of the 12 string, so this is really strings 1 and 2, but today I'm going to refer to those 12 strings as the 6 pairs of strings. So these outside strings, as we on a 6-string guitar, we'd call that our first string. And if we think of those 2 strings together there, you can hear there are 2 strings, you can see them and you can hear them. They're both tuned to the note E, the same as the 6-string guitar, but you play them together. You can hear it sounds like there's only one note there because those 2 strings are tuned perfectly together. They're both tuned to E. If we go to the second pair of strings now, and you can hear that sounds like one string, but there are 2 strings there. Just hit the 2 individual strings there now. They are tuned to B, same as a 6-string guitar. So that second pairing, nothing different to a 6-string guitar, only that there's a double up of them. So we've got 4 strings instead of 2, but they are tuned to E, then B. Now, this is where the uniqueness comes in, this third pairing of strings. What you'll see here, this string that I'm hitting there, that's G. That's the normal 3rd string on the guitar. But if you look at the next string over, this tiny, skinny little string, and this is the .008 gauge string, you'll hear that that's an octave G. That's the same G as if I played G on the 3rd fret of the 1st string of the guitar. So that open little string in here, which is actually string number 6 on the 12 string, but we're talking in pairs. It's the physical string number 6 if we counted this one as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a high G. Okay, if we move to the next pairing of strings, we've got D, normal pitch D, so the 7th string on the 12 strings if we're counting over this way, but the 4th pairing of strings is the normal D on a guitar. But like on the G string, you'll see there's a little fine plain string, and that's the same as D, that's an octave higher, that's the same as D on the 3rd fret of your 2nd string of the guitar. So we've got 2 Ds, an octave apart. We move to the next set of strings, so this is our 5th pairing of strings. We've got an A, the same as we'd expect on a 6-string guitar, and we've got an octave A. So when we hit that pair of strings together, we can hear the A's in octaves. The high-pitched A is the same as the 2nd fret on the G string of a guitar, a 6-string guitar. And finally, down low on our 6th pairing of strings, our 11th physical string on the guitar, is the low E, the same as you would expect on a 6-string guitar. And to keep the same concept, the 12th string, the physical 12th string as we count across from 1 to 12, is the octave E. So we have a guitar here that has 4 pairs of octaves, and then the 2 strings, the pairings 1 and 2, are just as you'd expect on a guitar. They're doubled up like a mandolin, but they're not in octaves. And that's due to the physical constraints of an acoustic instrument with a long scale neck. There just isn't a material made at the moment that's strong enough to take that E up a full octave and play basically this E. Just isn't a string or a guitar built strong enough to handle that at the moment. Maybe one day there will be. Now that poses some problems when we're playing lead on a 12 string, because we've got a series of octave strings and then we run into unison strings. Unison simply means the same note, 2 strings playing exactly the same note. So let's have a listen to the sort of problems that can create when you first play the 12 string and you haven't got your mind around the challenge of that tuning issue. I'll use a simple nursery rhyme melody to demonstrate this point. If we think of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, I'll play it in the key of G, sticking on the first 3 frets of the guitar, and I'll start in the low octave. So no issues there. That's the melody as we would expect to hear it. The context of the melody remains consistent, and the relative pitches between the different parts of the melody is as we would expect the tune to be. If I now play that up an octave, sticking on the first 3 frets, but shifting down now to the 3rd string, the open G string, and obviously that's the pairing of strings here, have a listen to what happens now. Now, it's still recognisable definitely as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but the relative change between the notes, the pitches of the notes in the melody now is all over the shop. We expect it to end da 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 dum, but what we get is this. We get the same effect as if we went. You know, the melody's jumped up an octave from where we would expect it to be. Now, that's just one of the challenges of the 12-string tuning. It's certainly not a problem when we play chords, and in fact, if we think of one of the all-time famous 12-string feature songs, Hotel California by the Eagles, I'll just play the opening chords to that down here in the key of E minor. It's traditionally played with a B minor to the start, and therefore there'd be a capo on, but just have a listen to this. Fantastic song, and I'm sure you've heard that. I looked on YouTube today and 38 million people had viewed just one of the many versions of clips that people have uploaded of the original recording by the Eagles or live performances. Millions and millions of people around the world have heard the 12-string in action and probably not realised that they were hearing a 12-string guitar. And you could see those chord shapes I used there were largely familiar chords: B7, E minor, A minor 7th, C major. You know, as a 6-string guitar player, if you've never played a 12-string, I really encourage you to go to one of your local music stores and just ask if you can sit down and try a 12-string. Now, as I've said in this tutorial, you'll probably find that the 12-string in the shops will be set up with a horrendously high action on it, and it'll be really hard and stiff to play, and it's probably got heavy gauge strings on it. All of those things can be adjusted, but you really want your 12-string to feel like a 6-string to play. But just to go back to the dealing with how do we get around the problem of when we're playing a melody of the octaves bouncing around. So that's Joy to the World, you know, famous Christmas sort of song. Da, da, da. Well, that's great, but hang on, what's going on now? We're suddenly up that octave. Now, again, it's still the tune, but it's a little bit off-putting if someone's singing along with you. The way to do it is to just play your melody, restrict your melody to the bottom 4 sets pairings of strings. So if I'm going to play a tune as lead on a 12-string, don't play the 1st and 2nd strings. Don't play the unison strings. Stick with the octave strings. And that way you're playing a 12-string melody. Okay? It's got the classic sound of a 12-string, and that's guitar boogie. If you don't want to play guitar boogie on a 12-string, don't. But I'm just saying, if you're playing melodies on a 12-string, stick on the strings that are paired in octaves. Avoid the first 2 pairings of strings. I hope that's at least sparked your interest in exploring the potential of the 12-string further. If you currently play a 6-string guitar, the migration across to 12-string is relatively straightforward, particularly if you have a decent instrument to practice on. As always, keep in touch via my website. That's www.brianhayes.biz. B-I-Z, Z for Zorro. Drop me an email if you have any questions about the 12-string guitar, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the easiest way to keep up to date with all of the latest videos that I post on the many instruments that I play and teach. Bye for now.